Ready for volleyball here on a Wednesday evening on the grounds at UVA. First serve belongs to Alexis Akeo, the freshman from Hawaii. We're underway here at the MEM. And an early point for Pittsburgh.
Sabrina Starks with the nice set. Usually speaking, you never want your middle to touch the ball above her head if she's going to set it, but that was a nice setup.
Chinaza Ende, the ACC Player of the Week, with the kill to give the first point of the match to the Panthers. Second point of the match belongs to Virginia. Their big senior from Serbia, big arm, Jelena Novakovic.
And you're going to see that a lot. Virginia's offense, their pride and joy is on that right side with Novakovic and Sarah Billiard, who will check into the game later. Dan Fisher knows that that's a point of emphasis for Virginia, is sending the ball backwards. Virginia
coming off a sweep to win the Jefferson Cup here in Charlottesville this weekend. And that one's in, and a point for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's won 6 straight in the series, 17th meeting all time. Pittsburgh 13-3 advantage. Won't be the last kill we see from the junior from Pasadena, Kayla Lund, who set the serve here for Pittsburgh. And another big swing from Novakovic.
She's got such a cannon of an arm. Her bread and butter is that cross-court shot. It's interesting because Dan Fisher plays a defense where his libero, Haley Hillegas, is in the center. She's playing up so that she can be a tunnel for that ball that we just saw. And unfortunately, you know, Jelena gets the better of it because she's got such a strong arm.
Kovic has a big serve as well. 24 aces, leads the ACC, but no point for Virginia here as Starks, the sophomore from Springfield, Nebraska, playing well early.
And this is something that I asked Dan Fisher about, setting the middles. That's probably the hardest part as a setter, is to find that timing with your middle blocker. He said he hopes that Akeo can find that rhythm with her middle blockers and start setting them more. He feels like that's something that they haven't done early on in the season.
Haley Hillegas the serve for Pittsburgh.
See, that's what just can't happen. You have an overpass on a tip. That's a gimme play. When they take something off of it and they give you a nice, easy ball over the net, you want to control that and run it back down their throat. And unfortunately, an overpass is an easy kill for Pitt.
Stephanie Williams has been taking advantage of mistakes like that throughout her career. 3-time all-conference selection in the ACC. Another point for Pittsburgh. A good start here for the Panthers, up 5-2 early.
Aaron Smith said, passing is our Achilles heel. If we don't pass well, we're going to be in for a long night. If we pass well, we feel like we can play with anyone.
By contrast, Pittsburgh is an excellent passing team.
And that's what I love. You got Hillegas setting twice in that point, and they're beautiful sets. She was a setter in high school, went to Iowa State. They converted her to a libero. So when you see her set the ball, there's no qualms about it because she's a very, very good setter. She's got pretty hands.
That serve misses the mark.
Not a pretty hand on that serve, though, Eric.
One of the few mistakes, though, that Hillegas has made so far in her brief time with Pittsburgh. The transfer from Iowa State has really been one of the keys to their success. Dan Fisher told you he wasn't sure she'd be a starter in the preseason. And Hillegas at the libero spot has been outstanding for Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
Hammered down by Lane Van Buskirk.
And that's one of her go-to shots. Quick set here on the 31 in the gap. I mean, look how high she's up. Virginia's blockers not set, not communicating to where they go up as a double block. You've got a single block, and she eats it alive.
Nika Markowitz the serve for Pittsburgh. Hillegas with the dig. Williams with the finish.
Calling for touch.
It was deflected, point for Pittsburgh. Shows you how potent this Pittsburgh team is, how deep they are right now. Markowitz coming off the bench right now for the Panthers. Chinaza Ende has been playing very well, getting the start for Pitt. Blocked back by Virginia. Good defense there by the Cavaliers.
And this Virginia team, although they've had some struggles so far this season, they have 110 total blocks this season, which leads the ACC. So they've got great talent. They've got big bodies up there. If they want to stay in this game, they're going to have to block very, very well.
Freshman Madison Matthews with the block. She checks out, and then a winner for Pittsburgh. The Matthews block stopped the 7-1 burst by Pittsburgh, but now the Panthers getting a point back to go up again by 5. Williams, the serve. And a point for Pittsburgh. There are some key freshmen here for this Virginia team. We just mentioned Madison Matthews. Maddie Boylston, a freshman, has played well. Jana Francis has played well. And calling a timeout to huddle up his young team is week off from football.
Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselback, not to go on without me.
I don't know how they'll go on without you. Out of the timeout called by Virginia, it's a point for Pittsburgh, and they stretch it out to a 7-point advantage.
In talking with Aaron Smith about the passing, I said, who would you say is your serving target? And he said, unfortunately, it's Christine Jarman. She struggles when the ball's outside of her body. She struggles to move forward, and we've seen 2 aces. But she gets it back with a nice kill there.
As I mentioned, Virginia coming off a sweep to win the Jefferson Cup here on Saturday. They beat UNC Greensboro to cap off the weekend. They won in 5 sets earlier in the day against Elon to win the cup. Wilson with the set. Hillegas with a good dig. Nice. And the finish by Williams.
And that may be a trend and a difference we start to see in this match. Pittsburgh can capitalize when they're out of system, and they can still have great touches and great swings. We just saw 2 of them from the back row. Whereas Virginia needs to get better in that aspect of their game. When you're out of system, what can you do? How can you capitalize and make something that's not so good into something that potentially could be?
Zoe Faki comes in and serves up the ace. Junior from Athens. Puts Pittsburgh on top by 8. Another well-placed serve, and Lund hammers it home.
And if you see, Faki drops that ball right by the 10-foot line. So Jarman has to come up front. Also, the ball's outside of her body. She struggles with it, overpasses it, which makes it an easy kill for Pittsburgh.
Alex Spencer, defensive specialist, checks in for Virginia. Oh, the soft touch, a bit of a surprise from Novakovic. Used to seeing that big left arm wind up and fire, but instead, a little kiss.
She's crafty. You expect to see a big arm, like you said. She's got a cannon on her. But to be able to mix in tips like that, mix up your shots, it keeps the defense honest, and sometimes they're not looking for it.
Kristen Leland to serve for Virginia. And the block at the net.
And
Starks trying to put it away.
She's just kind of finding her own way right now for this Virginia team. Smith said that this last weekend in the Jefferson Cup is when they really gave her a chance to play, and she capitalized on it, and now she's the first DS off the bench.
That one's deflected, Virginia. Chance to reset. Another little touch from Novakovic. And a block at the net, but a point for Pittsburgh.
Nice extension by Mila Ciprain. Just unfortunately couldn't get that right hand closed across the net to seal it. She gets tooled.
Akeo to serve for Pittsburgh. Up by 8. Big hammer for Lund, who fires home a winner.
And if you notice with Lund, she's got an interesting arm swing. It's somewhat of a round.
Pittsburgh had gone to Penn State and picked up a win at Penn State. Highest ranked opponent victory in program history. They had lost 16 matches in a row to Penn State. So things flying high for the Panthers after that Friday win over Penn State.
Definitely so, and Dan Fisher was worried, will there be some sort of hangover? You know, you have great crowds, you get a big win on Friday night, and then have an unbelievable game against Penn State, a 5-setter on Sunday. You come to Virginia, who doesn't have maybe as much hype. He wondered, you know, will my team be up for this game? And so far, we've seen they definitely are.
Put back by the duo of Ende and Starks for Pittsburgh.
And that is a big block. Unfortunately for Virginia, you've got Leland trying to set that ball with her platform overhead. She goes a little bit too tight to the net. It's an easy trap set.
KO to serve again.
Here we go, same situation.
KO almost got there, but it's a point for Virginia.
Really nice play by Jana Francis, the freshman. She comes all the way inside, cuts it back. Akeo not able to get there.
Francis third on the team in kills per set, a little bit better than 2. She earned a spot in rotation, and her minutes increased due to an injury to Grace Turner. Both teams have been hit by injuries to key players, and a point violation on Virginia, point for Pittsburgh. Grace Turner suffered a knee injury. Outside hitter came on strong at the end of last year for Virginia. And for Pittsburgh, Kylie Levers, who was going to be their starting setter this year, she suffered an ACL injury on the 3rd day of practice.
And you hate to see that. I mean, 2 key players for both teams go down with injuries, and then you've got freshmen thrust into those positions. And they've both done a very, very nice job.
Kayla Lund serves up the ace for Pittsburgh.
And that time she caught Jana Francis up front.
5th ace of the first set for the Panthers. Maddie Sobolewski checks in for Pittsburgh as a KO goes out.
A much deserved breather for a KO.
Point for Virginia.
And I think it's interesting he subs in Maddie because he said, you know, I'm a little bit concerned with her development as a setter. She's a redshirt freshman. We're going to have to go to 6-2s in certain situations when teams start honing in on a KO when she's in the front row. So this is an opportune time for Pittsburgh. They're up by 11 points. Give Sobolewski some much-needed reps so that he can start to feel more confident in her to go to that 6-2 when they need to.
Novakovic with the service error, so another point for Pittsburgh, up 20-9 now in the first set.
Now, it's interesting to me, he just called Megan Wilson for a double. That one from Maddie Boylston looked just as bad, in my opinion, from a movement standpoint. So Aaron Smith obviously got on the refs after that first call. Maybe it worked out.
Hilliard couldn't put it across. Point continues on. Longest point of the match so far. Almost saved by Kayla Lund.
That's
point
a nice
for Virginia.
Rally. That's a nice rally.
You were fired up.
I was. Pins and needles over here, Eric. Nice job keeping it alive. Matthews gets the finish.
But another service error for Virginia. That's one thing you can't do against a team that's been dominating the ACC the last couple of years. Number 4 team in the country. You can't do anything to beat yourselves.
No, you can't give them any favors. That would be missed serves, unforced errors, and not passing the ball well. There's a good pass, though.
Well, that's a lot to handle there. Stephanie Williams has had a really good first set here as Pittsburgh 2 points away from a set win.
And it's interesting, Stephanie Williams has had somewhat of a quiet start to the season because Kayla Lund has gotten so much hype, and so has Chi Ende. But Dan Fisher said she is as sound as anybody on this team. A bit of a miscommunication there on the set.
Out of play, and it is set point for Pittsburgh.
A nice slide set, maybe hung a little bit inside, didn't allow Sabrina Starks to really go up and get it. Excuse me, Lane Van Buskirk. But a nice play by her. She's lethal off of 1 foot behind.
Markowitz serving for the first set. Virginia stays alive.
Aaron Smith wants him to hit deep, but middle of the court works too.
Kelsey Miller. Williams. No kill this time. Good save by Virginia to stay alive in this set. The bench goes scrambling for Virginia, but that first set was highlighted by the big arm of Stephanie Williams, who had 7 kills for Pittsburgh in set number 1. The senior came into the match 6th on the all-time kills list at Pitt, adding to her total here to put
Virginia wants to make this a competition. They have to start passing the ball better.
Second set begins where the first set left off. Point for Pittsburgh.
Sabrina Starks on a 31. Not the best contact, but still forceful enough to get the kill.
One of the highlights of the season for Starks, her emphatic block in the 4th set against 10th-ranked Oregon to set up a match point victory for Pittsburgh over the Ducks.
Kristen Leland got this opportunity. You want to see her capitalize on it. She needs to move her feet, get underneath that ball, and avoid aces. Again, passing for Virginia. It's key. There we go. Ooh, that was a nice set. Great pace, great tempo from Megan Wilson. Jana gets on it just a little bit, cuts a little bit too far, sends it out of bounds to the right. That was a nice connection, though. I'd want to see that again. Goes right back to her.
And a block by Pittsburgh. Ende at the net. 4-0 run to start the set.
And that's something Aaron Smith talked to this Virginia team last night in practice. He said our coverage needs to be better. This is the most physical, biggest front line that we have faced all season long. They're going to block us. We need to be covering our hitters.
Off of a KO and a point for Virginia.
KO was a little bit inside of the sideline. You know these right hitters with their big arm swings, cross court is their bread and butter. She needs to shift a little bit closer to the line so that she can pick up that hard angle.
Oh, finding the little soft space. We've seen Stephanie Williams drop the hammer a few times, but that time just the soft touch to get another winner for Pittsburgh.
And the set predicated that a little bit for Williams. It was a bit tight, a little inside. That was probably the only thing she felt like she could do. You would hope that Virginia would be able to read that a bit better. Anything you can do, I can do better, Eric.
Point for Virginia.
A little tip. And usually speaking, Pitt is great at tip coverage because they play that up defense where they're not all the way in the back line.
That makes it over. Served by Novakovic, and a point for Virginia.
Inde should know better in that situation. Low set, Akeo didn't get the height on it. She's inside. She's forced to swing crossbody. The blockers are able to read that. Unfortunately, she gets blocked.
That's long. I said one of the things to watch for Pittsburgh was when Akeo was on the front line. I'm going to put this very delicately. I'm sitting next to, shall I say, a vertically challenged former volleyball player. So
that's fair.
Alexis Akeo, what challenges is she facing playing up the front line right now for Pittsburgh?
A lot. Let me tell you. I say this lovingly, but at 5'8", 5'9", you are a blocking target. Outside hitters look at you with lust. They just want to break your thumbs, and they're able to do it. Dan Fisher knows that Akeo is a blocking target when she's in the front row, but he said it's a glaring thing that we've got going on, and we just got to work through it. But they are trying to figure out a 6-2 option in case teams are really able to hone in on it.
It works out well for Pittsburgh that time as Ende gets the kill. She'll check out, and Pittsburgh on top by 2.
If I'm Maddie Boylston, I'm telling my outside hitters right now, you've got a KO up front against you. Go over the top down the line.
That one is long as Markowitz misses the mark. So after the slow start for Virginia here in the second set, they can tie it here. Already down a set. Instead, it's a point for Pittsburgh.
They're out of system. They have to go to the back row. Great swing by Markowitz. And it's interesting. She was their go-to the past 2 seasons, a starter on the outside. And they just have so much depth now that her role has kind of diminished, and she's a DS and a swing from the outside. I asked Dan Fisher, how does she handle that? And he said she's not content. She wants to get back to the front row. She wants to be the big swing. But right now she's working really hard, and she wants what's best for the team. So if right now it's passing and taking some swings from the back row, so be it. She's all in.
And to be clear, not everybody would be all in a situation like that.
No, not at all. And so I think it speaks to her character. She's a senior. She's been around the block. She wants this team to win and be successful and make a deep run into the tournament. And if she's cool doing whatever it is that this coach asks her, kudos to her. Ooh.
Blocked out of play, and it's a point for Virginia here in the second set. Mila Cyprian, sophomore from Florida, will come back in for Virginia as Kelsey Miller, the senior from Kentucky, is ready to serve. Hilliard. I don't know if that one was going to be long. Pittsburgh taking no chances, and it's deflected out of play, and it's a point for the Hoops.
But Billiard hits it right at Stephanie Williams, so she can't get out of the line of fire. She has to make a decision. She goes overhead and gets the kill.
Oh, good little decision by the freshman there, a KO, just to quickly flip it over into a dead spot for the point.
Nicely done. It's a great way to say, hey, I'm over here. I'm an option too. I can be aggressive and get kills just like my attackers. Keeps the defense honest.
It's not going to be with her hand a few feet over the net.
No, but sometimes that's the most deceptive.
That's it. You got to use the tools that you've been given.
Exactly.
That's deflected out of play. Well, of course, Akayo's sister, Kamalani, was the setter for Pittsburgh. So she has picked up where her older sister left off. And sister had better than 6.5 assists a set last year for last year's NCAA tournament team and ACC champions.
I asked if that was a package deal, and Fisher said, not really. But when we saw that Lexus was further along than her sister was at this point of her life, she's only 17. Can you believe that? A college student, a setter, setting the number 4 team in the country right now and hasn't even turned 18. She's doing a great job, but he said she was further along at that point. It was a no-brainer to recruit her.
Substitutions for Virginia, down by 3 here in the second set. Megan Wilson back in. She's ready to serve. On the all-tourney team here this past weekend in the Jefferson Cup, so coming off a good weekend. Hillegas with the set. Lund misses the mark.
And some uncharacteristic, unforced errors from this Pittsburgh team. A couple of missed attacks. And that's why you see 11-9 score on the screen right now. Net.
Yep, contact there on the net from Novakovic, so a point for Pittsburgh.
That's tough if you don't go for it there. The ball will likely drop below the net and you won't have time to be able to get underneath it. She sticks her hands, just clips the net.
Well, after hitting at a 520 clip in the first set, Pittsburgh hitting at a 364 clip this set.
Tight.
Blocked back, but saved by a diving Wilson.
Nice dig.
Hillegas got there.
Really nice job. And that's what I'm talking about at this Pitt team. This is how you know it's a high-level team, because when they're out of system and they're making plays with one hand, they can still attack out of it. And that's very, very impressive and hard to do at this level.
Good block at the net. I think it's Starks who will get the credit again.
Out of system passing, when the setter has to use her platform, the blockers know we're going to outside. They're able to set up a nice block, makes it very difficult.
Timeout called by Virginia. Set 2 here in Charlottesville. But for Notre Dame, it's more like reloading year after year for Muffet McGraw. So you see that Sunday night at 9. Out of the Virginia timeout, block at the net again by Chinaza Ende. She has earned more and more court time, and you can see why in this match so far here, Katie.
That is such a big wall. You've got Ende on the right side, Sabrina Starks in the middle. I asked Fisher why Starks, and he said she's got such a big body and she can move it. He said she can get to the outside, she can get to the opposite side on her blocks, and it's very, very hard as an attacker to find areas of where to hit when those two are up against you.
Another winner for Kayla Lund, leading the team in kills per set at nearly 4. 5-0 run for Pittsburgh. Another point for the Panthers.
The interesting thing, Eric, is Pittsburgh wouldn't characterize itself as a very aggressive serving team. And yet, here you've got Virginia struggling and on the ropes in their serve receive. They're just consistent. The ball moves, they have a lot of floats, and Virginia is struggling. Overpass.
Struggling again.
Half Kayla Lund's points and kills have come from overpasses. They're just gimmies, unfortunately.
7-0 run for Pittsburgh. Christine Jarman will come back in for Virginia. Dan Fisher's team has served up 9 aces so far here in this match. Virginia yet to record an ace. Hillegas with the set. Lund with the finish. Two to 1 margin in kills, advantage Pittsburgh.
And I like this sub. I like this sub by Aaron Smith. He brings Alex Spencer in the back row for Jarman. Jarman has struggled in serve receive. Alex Spencer, a veteran, somebody who's got a really nice platform.
Another block, but this one goes out of play. And it's a point for Virginia. That ends a 9-0 run for Pittsburgh.
It's been 9 points already. That is a quick run.
I guess we'll let that one go.
Not worth it. I'm surprised she was right there. She had plenty of time. I think Dan Fisher was thinking the same thing.
I think she was thinking about the well-being of those sitting in the front row seats.
So kind. Ooh.
It goes in the books as the first ace for Virginia here tonight. And Francis with the winner.
So you've got a freshman in at middle blocker now for Pittsburgh, Wakolo. A little bit of a miscommunication on her attack. Doesn't get quite out there for the block, and that was evident. There was a big hole, and Virginia capitalized on it. So a net call on a Newquem. Tapping the net before Akeo was able to make the set. Interesting call.
Shaking her head at the lead referee, Robert Kyle.
Nice push.
To Francis. Quick set and the finish.
There you go. That's a nice connection. Dan Fisher's really excited about Wakolo. He says as a freshman, she's got so many tools already. She's got so many shots there. She connects on the 31 gap set. Beautifully done by Akeo. He said she's even better off of 1 foot, but usually she's only in 6-2 situations, and slides are hard to run when you've got 2 right sides. So nice to see her in this 5-1 situation, getting reps.
Well, Dan Fisher really loves the depth of this year's Pittsburgh team, and we're seeing a little of it here with Colo. This is her 12th set played this year, and Alex Dreyer has come into the match for Pittsburgh. She hadn't played yet this season, so Heading down the bench a little bit here with a comfortable lead, second set in Charlottesville.
Way to cover yourself. Lots of covering of themselves. Smart to send it to the middle blocker.
And Francis hammers it home. Jana Francis earned the spot in rotation, as we mentioned earlier, and her minutes went up when Grace Turner went out with an injury. She's made the most of it, had 16 kills against Princeton. From Virginia Beach, the freshman, trying to keep Virginia in this one, and there's a point for Virginia.
Does that count as a kill? Is that a kill for Matthews? I think it should be. A palm of the hand kill.
Point for Virginia. Novakovic. Simone Dominique has also come in for Virginia, the freshman, getting an opportunity. She's delivering the serve here for the Hoos. And that's long.
You hate to see that. You just put 2 points together. You might feel like you're about to go on a run. And here's the deal. Is Pittsburgh most likely going to win this set? Yes. But do you want to build momentum for a third set run? Absolutely. And so you want to start pulling off points, getting the momentum to shift back towards you. And that's what was happening for Virginia with those first couple of points by giving a service error. Not the best. And not the best with a pass like that.
Well, and frankly, if you're Virginia with a mixture of some returning players, but also some freshmen you're trying to incorporate into your lineup, this is something you want to build on, not for the third set necessarily, but for the season. You're playing the number 4 team in the country here in your own building here today. So try to find something to build on that you can use going forward in ACC play. This was a tough draw for Virginia. ACC opener, you get Pittsburgh, the 2-time defending champs, who are facing a set point here.
But you get Pittsburgh in the first game. It's a great measuring tool to see where you're at. This is the best of the best in this conference. How do you match up against them, and what can you build upon, like you said, moving forward against other teams in this conference? I really like Jana Francis. I've been impressed with her arm. Like you said, Grace Turner goes down with that ACL tear at the beginning of the season. Francis was going to get some playing time and worked in at some point, but then she's thrust into a starting role, and they've had to rely on her. And as a true freshman, she's done a really nice job.
Another set point for Pittsburgh. Virginia not done yet in the second set. It's a win for the Panthers. Deflected out of play, and Pittsburgh wins set number 2. 25-17 after a 25-11 win in set 1. It's intermission time here in Charlottesville as the teams head off to the locker room with Pittsburgh on top here at UVA.
Forced Pitt out of system? Yeah, they have. But Pitt is very good out of system. That's why they're the number 4 team in the country. So can you force them to be out of system more? That's by serving aggressively, and that's by taking Lexis Akeo out of the play by sending balls to right back. And then third, attack deep and down the line. They've done some of that, but they've actually had more success in the middle of the court when the blocks haven't been there.
Service error for Pittsburgh to start things here in the third set as Akeo hits it into the net. So Virginia gets the first point of the third set.
Take what you can get. Unforced errors are helpful.
A reminder as we get back into gear here in conference play in the ACC. Sets are best 3 out of 5. A win here for Pittsburgh. It's over. Virginia trying to force a fourth set here on their home court. That's deflected out of play. And it'll be a point for Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh gets away with that one a little bit. Akeo undersets Sabrina Starks in the middle. She has to bring her elbow down. Doesn't get as much power on that one as she probably would have liked, but luckily she's able to tool the block. So you need to see that set a little bit higher if they really want to connect.
Off the block, Starks had to reset. Good reset by Starks. And that one sent out.
I would have argued that as well with Aaron Smith. That ball was bobbled as Akeo released it on the 31 to Sabrina Starks. He wants the double. I'd say if I was playing, I would want the double as well. But sometimes you get away with them, and those are the best days if you're the one that flies under the radar and gets away with it.
But you would never get away with anything that wasn't by the rules, right?
Never.
Okay, I just want to make sure. That's a win for Virginia.
And we talked about the sidelines and the deep line being a point of emphasis for Virginia when attacking Pittsburgh. Jana Francis was able to hit that sideline. Really nice shot by her, but that's what Pitt's defense allows. They play so far inside the court that the lines are the best place to attack.
Pittsburgh handles the serve from Novakovic, and Francis gets another win. Jana Francis, her dad Steven's in the Navy, so she was born in Texas. She's lived in Texas, Hawaii, Florida, Rhode Island, Northern Virginia, and now Virginia Beach. She can settle in for 4 years as an undergraduate.
Yes, she can.
In her first year here at Virginia, contributing right away for the Cavaliers. Pittsburgh evens it up at 3 here in the third set. Lane Van Buskirk comes in. Haley Hillegas to serve.
Nice coverage.
Lund with another save, but a little miscommunication for somebody to get to that ball, and it's a point for Virginia.
Nice run by Boylston, trusting that her middle, Matthews, was going to be there. She sets her on a 1 set, which is just quick right on her. She's able to connect. Pittsburgh actually makes the play, but they have a communication breakdown.
Lund winds up, dug out by Boylston. Blocked back and out of play, and I think this is the largest lead of the night for Virginia by 2.
Aaron Smith made a switch. He let Alex Smith rotate from the back row up. She was their go-to in the past 2 seasons as their outside hitter. Has seen her role kind of diminish. Maybe he just wants to see what can happen here.
Pittsburgh claiming it was deflected, a point for Pittsburgh. So I think the most relieved player in the building is Stephanie Williams, because Dan Fisher locked eyes again, like, are you sure before I show this card? And Stephanie didn't give an emphatic nod. She gave a yes, so.
Yeah, she probably thought, woo! Glad I was right, or glad my eyes didn't deceive me. There's nothing worse than having to hear about a mistake you made and then also another mistake in getting your coach to call a challenge when he didn't want to.
Soboleski to serve for Pittsburgh. Hill gets the set. Williams, the finish. Tied at 5.
Great set by Hillegas. I mean, beautiful set, uses her hands a little bit tight, but here's the craftsmanship of Stephanie Williams. She's able to drop that thumb down and hit a sharp, sharp angle to zone 4. Virginia's defender not there.
Williams, a 3-time honorable mention All-American for the Panthers. Blocked back by Van Buskirk.
And part of the reason why Alex Spencer has seen less playing time is because Aaron Smith feels like he's got depth up front now, but she's a bit undersized, and we just saw that undersize go against some very, very big blockers.
Aaron Smith takes it to Pittsburgh to serve after the Virginia timeout. Maddie Soboleski to put it into play. Pitt took the first set with ease, 25-11. Stephanie Williams had 7 kills. They won set 2, 25-17. That one falls into play, and it's a point for Virginia.
That's just a bit unlucky for Pitt's defense, but here's the thing. He's giving Soboleski this entire set, it looks like, to be able to run this Pittsburgh offense. And it's one thing to go in when you're up 20-9 and to set them home. But to be able to come in and have a meaningful game, that's huge for your development, and it seems that Dan Fisher really wants to give Soboleski these reps.
It also seems like Dan Fisher is losing a little patience with his team right now.
I would be too. You're the 4th best team in the country right now. You're playing neck and neck with a team that you feel like is a bit lower. Soboleski in the net. Ooh, I would have gone the other way with that.
So it's a point for Pittsburgh.
You often wonder if you're going to play down to the level of your competition. And Dan Fisher mentioned that after playing Penn State twice this past weekend. He wondered if there would be some kind of hangover, and he said, I hope our team has the focus and the grit to be able to come out and play strong. They did that, but can you play strong long? That's the question.
And I think, too, to be fair, Fisher was focusing on the atmosphere where at Penn State, you know, an in-state battle, and Pittsburgh hadn't won there in forever, and they picked up a win, and then they come back Sunday in front of the biggest crowd ever at Pittsburgh to watch a volleyball game. You can see what he's built there at Pitt.
It's been impressive.
A good hammer there, and it's deflected off of Miller and out of play, and a point for Pittsburgh to even things up at 8. Lane Van Buskirk, the senior from Windsor, Ontario. First team all-conference selection last year, ready to put things into play again here for Pittsburgh.
Megan Wilson, Virginia setter, having some words with the up official. I loved those conversations.
Tell me what would be said. Would you go over and talk to the lead referee?
Oh, yeah.
What would you say?
As the captain, well, sometimes they were amiable. Sometimes they were a little bit heated. You always wanted to see how far you could push. How far can I push this before I would get a card? That was the fun of it.
I went through, I did some research. Did you receive any sort of punishment like that? Did you overstep the line? Did you?
I never got a red card in college. Some
Oh, no, I know
cards.
all about your high school career. Oh, my gosh, that was horrible.
My dad could probably tell you exactly how many cards I had in my career because he hated it. Heat of the moment, though. You're into it, you know?
That's a
Love
point
a competition.
for Pittsburgh, and they're up by 2 here in the third set. Also, as a captain, if you could feel things were building up against your team, maybe to slow down momentum, you'll go over and try to pause things by talking to the referee.
I'm not above untying my shoe.
Good little touch there and a win for Virginia. Another point for the Cavaliers, who scored 11 in the first set, 17 in the second set. And they've kept it close here. They had a 2-point lead here in the third set. Virginia bench calling for a violation. It ends well for the Cavaliers, though. A point for Virginia to tie it again at 10.
They're upset with Sobolewski's hands on that one set, the quick one to the middle. They thought that it was a double touch. I stand to agree with them, but luckily they were able to get the point with the block.
Dug out by Spencer.
Tight. Nice play by Francis. A little bit of a miscommunication between Starks and Sobolewski.
Another block, Virginia doing better at the net defensively, and that's a point for Virginia, and they're back in front here in the third.
Here's the question. This is what I want to see. Pitt is obviously different when Sobolewski is running the show. That's normal when you put in your backup. Will Dan Fisher go back to Akio?
Well, when you're in trouble, I think if you go to Kayla Lund, things will work out pretty well. And now your question is answered here, Katie, is Akio will come back in along with Ende on the side out.
And that means they're running a 6-2. I wondered if he was going to give Sobolewski the entire match, the entire game, to run things, but obviously he's trying to work on that 6-2, which they went to late in the game against Penn State on Sunday.
Lund again.
Net violation, Virginia.
Point for Pittsburgh. Panthers back in front.
And those are the points, those are the mental mistakes you can't afford right now if you're Virginia when you're neck and neck right now. I like the idea, just too soft of a contact.
And Virginia's got to take another timeout. Pittsburgh a little bit.
Some definite bright spots.
Can they sustain it, though? Stark straight up and over the net. There's a winner. Francis with another kill.
And if you see Sabrina Stark, she's patting her chest saying, that's my bad, I didn't get out there. And if you see, there was a huge gap, a hole in between blockers, which allowed Francis to haul off and get that kill.
9th kill of the match for Jana Francis. That leads Virginia. Starks has it blocked back, and it's a winner for Madison Matthews on the block.
And here's the problem as a setter. You want to get the ball out so quick. You want to force it to your middle as quickly as possible, and you sometimes underset your middle. You got to remember, these girls are 6'3", 6'4", jumping out of the gym. They've got high arms. So just because you want to force the tempo and force it out quick, you still have to get a high set off. And right there, you saw Sabrina Starks underset and went right into the block.
Leland into serve for Virginia. 10th tie of this set.
That was another set that was too tight and a little bit low. Luckily, Sabrina Starks saves it by a pushover.
Cyprian will come back on. Check that Cyprian is off, along with Leland for Virginia. Lund to serve.
Out of system. What can you do with it?
Block back, and Pittsburgh is up by 2.
And see, when you go out of system like that, you become one-dimensional as an offense. Pittsburgh was able to get all 3 blockers to the middle of the court and up for a triple block. Very successful when you can get all 3 up. Nice save. Kudos to Francis. If you see, she hit that ball with her left hand. She's a righty. She was able to save that. It was too far outside the antenna. She was able to cut it back with her left hand, control it, and keep the play alive, ultimately allowing Pitt to make the unforced error.
Ende is blocked. Novakovic with the sets. Francis can't put it away. Blocked by Ende.
And that's an interesting rotation for Virginia. If you noticed, Yelena was actually the one who was in right back as the setter. She set that ball to the outside just for 1 row. And then Maddie Boylston comes back in. But interesting that they go to their right side to set 1 row.
Hilligus, that's going to be off the mark. Service error for Pittsburgh. Bring it back to a 1-point advantage for the Panthers. Francis, soft serve, a KO set.
Nice set.
And day finish.
Really nice set by Akeo. She was right around the 10-foot line. She was able to keep it in tempo, get Inde high enough to really be able to take a nice swing on it. She goes over the top of Alex Spencer. That was a concern for Aaron Smith. Alex Spencer is a bit undersized, and Inde just exploited it.
Sobolewski and Markowitz back in for Pittsburgh. Sobolewski serve. Williams, good little save there. Diving play made by Spencer to keep it alive. But only for the moment. Van Buskirk with the winner.
A nice job by Sobolewski feeding the middle. It's the hardest set to make, even though it's the quickest. She gets Van Buskirk high enough to really get up there and attack it. Well done.
That one will sail out of play.
A highlight and then a low light. You hate to see it. A highlight and then a low light.
Kelsey Miller serves for Virginia. Up by 2 is Pittsburgh. Francis hammered it. Hilligus dug it out. And Lund with the winner.
And that's the sign of a good team. You've got Hilligus that gets lit up, able to keep it in play by going overhead. Right here. A nice kill from the back row for them.
Lund now piling up the kills. She's into double figures now with 10.
And that's the thing. Nobody's home.
Yeah, Lund went down.
Pittsburgh's able to make something out of nothing. That's why they're a good team. Good read.
Lund again. Another winner. She had to pick herself up in the middle of that point, and it ends with another kill, and she's now tied with Williams for the team lead with 11.
And Markowitz should get a nod for that point. Really nice job reading that she was going to tip, gets underneath it, and keeps the play alive.
That's going to be long.
Do you call a timeout now to stop the bleeding?
You can't. You've used your 2 timeouts here in this set. Virginia's out of timeouts, so Pittsburgh, they've got 2 timeouts, but there's no reason to slow things down. You've got all the momentum, although that momentum it takes a little bit of a cold bath right there.
You lose your mind on that. You got them on the ropes. The momentum's clearly on your side, and then you just give away a point to give them hope. You breathe life back into them, and that's exactly what you don't want to do, especially when you're nearing the match.
Megan Wilson. Lund set it up and hammered it home again. She is on a roll right now.
She's your hot hitter. If you're a setter, your coach always tells you, feed the hot hitter. Feed whoever's on fire. It's obviously Lund.
She has just kept it going from what she did against Penn State. She had a team-high 14 kills in the win at Penn State, a season-high 23 on Sunday in that 5-set thriller. 22-17, Pittsburgh closing in on another win.
Oh, and she's going to attack the second hit.
Tip back by Starks. Virginia, quick set in the winner. Avery Perosa has come in for Pittsburgh for the first time. Now she'll check out, and Hillegas is back in.
You mentioned Lund being the hot hitter. I asked Dan Fisher, when did you know you had a team that not only could make the tournament, but could make a deep run? And he said, when we beat Oregon at home on a Wednesday, and then we went out west and we played 3 really good teams in Cal Poly, Pepperdine, and Utah. She elevated her game. She elevated her game, and that's when I knew, okay, we just got 4 wins in 4 days. We're going to be a really good team.
Good point there for Virginia to bring it back to 3. Starks. Pittsburgh now 2 points away.
Great connection. Really well done by Sobolewski. Feeding the middle, having trust that she'd be there. The middle attack is the hardest to defend, in my opinion, in volleyball. So anytime you can get the middle, the ball in a tight situation, I think that's your best get.
A KO to serve for Pittsburgh. Francis had it sent back.
Nice.
And a winner from Novakovic.
Really nice play by Virginia. Alex Spencer fights her body and serve receive to keep that in system. Good coverage by Kelsey Miller on the first attack. Megan Wilson then jacks it back, goes against the grain to Yelena, who ultimately gets the kill. Really well done. Good volleyball there.
Cyprian the serve for Virginia.
Out of system. Nice set.
Ende has it blocked back. Ende tries again. And that one out of play. And it is match point for Pittsburgh. Fittingly in the hands of Kayla Lund.
Nice serve. Off her foot.
Keep things going.
Oh.
Tipped out of play, and it's a point for Virginia to stay alive.
Novakovic played soccer for 2 years. That's in her bio. Bounces off of her foot. It was all planned. Well done to extend the play.
Now, Alexis Akeo coming over to talk to Dan Fisher.
She hit her face on the net, going for it.
Making sure
They're
she's
just
okay.
checking to make sure she's okay. I don't know if she wears contacts. That could always be problematic.
Novakovic has got a big serve. Pittsburgh's handled it well here today. Novakovic with the set. Francis has it blocked back. And that's it. Pittsburgh wins again. The defending ACC champions begin conference play with a straight sets victory here in Charlotte.